now. And considering what we've experienced over the weekend in terms of tomorrow not being promised to anyone, look that far. But I do wish to spend the balance of my time in this capacity, working up until the last incident.
In terms of immigration and not allowing people that don't speak English to get work permits, what policies are sort of in place so that immigration can ensure that, other than maybe like the employer's word for it before the employees actually get here?
There is no policy. There is an incentive, though, I would think. The view we take is that the incentive has to be the employer, who's forking out a lot of money to bring these people here. And so they have a built-in incentive to make sure that the person who they're hiring can in fact communicate, so that they can in fact make a profit. I'm aware of one of the major hotels in the country who wrote to us quite recently to say that don't be surprised that we're returning a work permit that you issued 2 days ago, because the person who done the phone interview for them was not the person who arrived on Burch. So they have a built-in incentive. And the department will only respond to complaints. And we've had a few of those already, and we have inspectors who will go up to those businesses and test it for themselves.
Senator Burch, you're outspoken, you've been embroiled in controversy. Some people think that the mere statements you make are quite controversial. Any words of advice to your successor, possibly?
Well, I don't agree that I'm controversial, and I don't agree I'm outspoken. I think that I'm direct, and whilst that might be unique, it's not something that, it comes to me naturally. And if you knew my parents, you'd know that it comes to me by divine right. So, my advice to anybody is to be equally direct. I think that out of my earshot, if you talk to any of the chiefs, one of the things that I have appreciated about working with all of them is that they tell me the unsugar-coated version of what their challenge is, and that's what I prefer, because then I am better able to try and assist and come up with solutions.
Minister, you mentioned new legislation concerning paroling foreign inmates. Are you looking to give them the same parole rights as Bermudians, and if so, how is that going to be administered in terms of making sure their parole is overseen correctly once they leave?
The answer is no, I'm not going to give them the same rights as Bermudians, because that would be the minister responsible for corrections would have a pitched battle with the minister responsible for immigration. What we are proposing to do is to find a median point where at the moment Bermudians can be released on parole, having served a third of their sentence, and meeting a number of other criteria. What we are likely to do, and this will clearly be for the next minister to carry forward and the legislature. But what the discussions I've been involved in is arriving at a point where we have gotten our pound of flesh, as you will, in terms of punishment for foreign nationals, so that it serves as a deterrent to anybody else that might consider doing what they do. And in most instances, the people that we have incarcerated are as a result of importation of drugs. And so what you don't want to do is to come up with a period of incarceration that is so insignificant that people behind think, oh, Bermuda saw, I'm only going to do X amount of time, and it's worth the risk. What you want it to be is significant enough that it serves as a deterrent. The person who has brought drugs into your country is punished, but then they are removed from the jurisdiction. And so there would not be a question of parole, it would be a question of reducing their sentence so that they would then be sent in.
Getting back to the NDB. At the beginning, at the outset, we were looking at standardizing the construction industry, certain periods of the construction industry. With the amount of success here in those acquiring certification, what do you feel was where the industry was prior to certification?
Well, I think that many people at the outset, we are similar to everybody else on this planet. We don't like change. And so there was much resistance to this whole business of establishing a benchmark. One of the primary reasons why we decided to have a major sort of social event for the first awarding of certification was to demonstrate to those people in the industry that the bar they had raised the bar themselves. And so they now recognize that they are in a different category than somebody who's uncertified. And so all of us in the community who might be looking to hire an electrician or what have you, we will soon be in a position where we're asking the service provider, are you certified? And if the answer is no, then our next comment is going to be next, till we find somebody who is. And so what you're seeing is twofold. There's that domestically. What you're also seeing, because the standard is international, you can transport those skills anywhere where that standard is applied. And certainly in the case of electricians, I am aware of a number of Bermudians who are currently working as a result not only of certification, but also as a result of local contractors thinking outside of the box, that are working in Honduras, and Antigua, and just outside of the country, and exporting those skills. And so that's the reason why we aimed for an international standard that wasn't localized and could be transported around the globe.
To those employers who resist, to those employers who don't see changing,
I think they've changed, because what you have now is the first question that I was asked after the award notice by one of you: can I charge more? I said, well, that's not a question I'm going to answer, but it certainly goes straight to, the heart of the matter, really, in terms of if you're certified, then you could probably ask your boss. You have a different pay scale for people who are certified as opposed to those who are not. Any
intent in moving this outside of just the construction industry?
Well, I think that's where we're working first. We were currently doing welders, electricians, and automotive technicians. And we're a lot later than we wanted to be in terms of implementation. And this year we're supposed to be 4 other categories. Well, we're moving slowly, because the key is, in all of these, is to have buy-in from industry, because they're the people who are going to do the assessment. So in other words, you don't have people at the interview doing nothing about being an electrician doing the assessment. You have industry partners who are in the industry who are the assessment panel for their colleagues.
Any more questions? No one? Thank you very much. That concludes today's press conference. Thank you.